So here we are, World Vegan Day, busy part of the city centre, and we set up saying if eating animals is a choice, why choose to be cruel, debate a vegan, and let's see who we get at the table today. So there's a guy just over my shoulder and he's been standing there talking to someone for like 10 minutes, pointing in our direction at this table and the sign, and it's funny how people will chat to someone else about it but they won't come and have a conversation with us. I think that says something in itself about how defensible they feel the message is, it's interesting. So man, you've seen the banner and it says, if eating animals is a choice, why choose to be cruel, debate a vegan. What made you come sit down?
I didn't have much else to do today, but a bit of fun, see what happens. Let's see what this happens, yeah.
Awesome, I appreciate that. So what do you think about the idea of eating animals being a choice and also a choice that includes cruelty?
I think it is definitely a choice, but it doesn't necessarily have to include cruelty. Like, my gran is a farmer and I've helped on farms, so I know that you can look after animals in a very humane way.
I completely agree, by the way. You can look after animals in a humane way.
Yeah. And there is the whole thing about killing them, and that is the big killer point I see you're just waiting to pounce on.
Well, do you think you can kill an animal in a humane way?
Oh yeah, you can kill humans in humane ways through that injection I can't remember the name of.
The lethal injection?
Yeah.
And why do humans get lethal injections?
If their life is just miserable, they don't want to live anymore.
Oh, you're talking about euthanasia, like in certain parts of the world?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where they have, out of their own free will, chose that. Yeah. These animals don't get that treatment, by the way. It's not quick and painless, and they haven't chosen to be slaughtered. They're unwilling participants. They don't want this to happen. Like, we got footage on the laptop here just showing undercover footage of factory farms and small scale farms and slaughterhouses. I mean, these are pigs, so they can't turn around pretty much their whole lives. They're artificially inseminated, forcibly impregnated, can't even turn around and see their babies. It's standard legal practice in the UK. What do you think about that? Do you think that's humane, or?
I don't think it's humane, and people do need to be smarter about where they get their beef from and support good farms that humanely farm it.
Yeah.
Pigs.
Yeah.
I don't want to assume genders here,
Yeah, no, that's cool. He or she, I would say. But yeah, no, that's cool. Just the it word with me is like, we're sort of conditioned to think of animals like it and things because they're like livestock, like they are seen as just product. But for me, sort of going back to what you're saying about you think there's a humane way to do it. If it's not the lethal injection, then, I mean, do you know, for example, that a third of all pigs are put in a gas chamber in the UK, and then their throats are sliced and they bleed out, and that's like legal, it's standard practice. Did you know that?
I was not aware of that, no.
Yeah. Me either, until I seen this is Land of Hope and Glory, so this is all UK recent footage. It's not just pigs, it's all animals, cows, chickens, fish. So yeah, fish are animals, they're not sea vegetables,
That's why I call them sea vegetables, yes.
That's what you call fish, yeah?
Vegetables.
How come?
Like, you make a sea salad, you mix some fish together, it's all good.
It's all good. Oh, interesting. Do you know that fish have nervous systems and pain receptors and brains, just like we do, and just like the land animals?
Yeah, that's what classifies them as living.
Yeah. But conscious as well, because they have a brain.
Yeah.
They have brains, like vegetables don't have brains or nervous systems.
Well, conscious, that's a debatable term in the way we use it. They aren't necessarily conscious like me and you.
Yeah, there's different degrees of consciousness, but there's a thing called the Cambridge Declaration of Consciousness, which Cambridge, Educational Institute, they talk about the science in that document, but they've proven that animals are conscious. Do you know that, or do you accept that animals have consciousness?
Oh yeah, I accept that animals have consciousness. You can't actually prove anyone but ourselves have consciousness in this world, so
yeah, it's quite abstract. Do you feel like that animals they don't want to suffer? They want to be free from suffering?
They don't necessarily have idea. They have get food, get laid.
Yeah, you see like these animals, for example, they're in extreme confinement. They're in filth. Some of them are rotten. Their corpses are rotten. They've died off because the conditions are so unhygienic, and they just gave up because they're physically destitute, and they just pass away out of just abhorrent circumstances. Excuse me. I mean, do you feel like that they have a preference to not be in those environments and to be clean and to be able to freely express their behaviours?
Yeah, as I said before, I do believe this type of farming is definitely wrong, and we should do more to regulate it.
Yeah.
But I believe it is fair enough if you give them free range.
Yeah.
like just open pastures, and they can do what they want in the fields.
So free range, I love that one because it's a term that's used not in the animal's best interest. It's used to convince the consumers of the products that they're buying something that's ethical, because they see the word free and they think that's a really good thing. But if you think about free range, what happens to the animals at the end of that process? Where do they go?
Slaughterhouse.
And are they really free at all then?
Well, for the time they're out, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
they're relatively free.
Are they free though, if they're going to a slaughterhouse?
No, but it's good. But it is better conditions than what you're showing here. So
that's cool. So you show like an interest in the well-being of animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to follow that to its logical end, wouldn't the best thing for their best interest be to not slice their throats at all, to not confine them, to not put them on trucks, to not hang them upside down and shackle them by the leg and stick knives in their throats? Wouldn't that be the best form of welfare and the best treatment for animals?
That would be the best form, but in this world we can't usually get the best of anything.
I mean, so it's an industry, so there's customers and there's businessmen, and the only reason the business stays open is because of the customers. So as a paying customer, if you remove your money from putting it into that business, then what that equals for them is they will breed less animals into existence because they've got one less customer. And you might think, oh, I'm just one person won't make a difference, but of course one person makes a difference, because the animal products that you're eating, that's the life of an animal every day. So not only that, I mean, veganism is like quite a big thing in society now. Like, it's growing exponentially. So as more and more people get on board, they breed less and less animals into existence, and then we're slowly getting there. I mean, it's going to be a long time, but we're getting there. Basically, that we'll get to a point where these things aren't happening. You know, so it's like, how do you feel about that?
I could say ideally, if we could progress in the world to a point where we could recreate like meat, like the nutrition of it,
which we can do today. Like now, it's already a thing.
Yeah, so if we can do that and we can spread it to a mass consumerism, then that would be the ideal world.
So you can go into Tesco's or whatever supermarket, and you can get plant-based meats. All the nutrition that we get from animal products comes from plants, because the animals that we're eating are herbivores. They eat plants. So we just go, as a vegan, I just go straight to the plant-based products, get my nutrition that way, and then I don't pay for the suffering and exploitation and murder of innocent creatures. And that sounds like something that you actually seem keen on, that idea.
Well, a lot of people like the idea of an idealized society, but very few. I will not say that I'm a good person. Like, very few are willing to actually do what's required.
What about you? Like, because you have the choice to pay for animals to be harmed and killed, or buy vegan products, and like, which is clearly, I can tell from listening to you, more in alignment with like who you are as a person. Like, you could make the choice to not harm animals.
My thing is, it's also like, my family are farmers, so they need their livestock, so that is the other side of it. But yes, I do agree with what you're saying, and I probably should try harder to make.
I mean, we have people in our group that come from farming backgrounds, and they're vegans and they're vegan activists, and they're still a part of the family. And if our family members love us, they'll accept us for who we are, no matter what. I don't think there's any sort of unspoken agreement where you have to do everything that your family is a part of to be accepted and loved by your family. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think your family would be against you if you suddenly said that you don't want to hurt animals anymore?
Oh no, my auntie is a vegetarian, so like, it's not. I'm just more of saying that their livelihood, like their homes and all, it comes from the selling of meat. Yeah. So,
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Okay, so, I mean, you don't have to follow down that same path. Like, you have a choice to not do that. I guess it's like, I'm sitting having a conversation with you right now, and I can't control what your family does, but I can pass information to you, and you can consider it, and based on that, like, you can decide, well, I want to do things differently. I want to live a more ethical life where animals aren't being exploited and harmed. Like, I know that's where our family came from, and they were doing that because at a time maybe it came from necessity, they had to, and they're just doing it now to feed customers. Customers are paying for it, and they feel like, well, we're going to do this as long as people keep paying for it. But don't you agree that we should try and progress as time goes on? As a society, we should try and do better?
As a society, yeah, we should try and Well, I'm not saying we need to completely cut out meat. We do need to cut down on meat for like global warming, because it leaves a big carbon footprint.
Yeah, so for the global warming thing, to cut it out completely would be the best outcome for global warming.
Well, actually, that is an interesting subject, because recently in school we were doing food miles, and a lot of the vegetarian diet comes from imported vegetables and fruits that we can't grow here.
Which is still less harmful to the environment as animal products.
Sorry.
You're okay. Like, as vegans, I'm not saying that we're perfect and we leave no footprint. It's still, even with those exports, it's still like better for the environment. Like, it's something like 4,000 litres for one steak, because of all the water you got to feed to all those plants to grow to feed the cows. So it's like, it's kind of hard to argue in favour of that when you can eat plant-based, and it's better for the planet if you're into the environmental science and everything. Yeah, I mean, is the environmental thing something that you're concerned about?
Well, the end of the world is pretty concerning matter to humanity.
So, I mean, that's also... I got on board with veganism because of the ethics, but that's also something that gives me, like, another element to the argument. Like, well, it's better for the planet, so why wouldn't I, you know? I mean, you seem to care about the welfare of animals. You seem to care about the planet. Like, I guess you care about health as well, because that's a big thing. Like, eating animal products isn't really that great for human health. I don't know if you know that, or...
Oh, if you see my family who eat meat, you'll see.
Okay. So yeah, you know, you're getting it. You completely get it. I mean, what would stop you? What would stop you trying the whole vegan thing out? Like,
I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah. So maybe there's nothing stopping you. That's it. It's just about information. Like, I wasn't born vegan, so I was once like you, man, eating animal products, just going along with everyone else in my family eating animal products, never really thinking about it. Seen a documentary, heard a guy give a talk, got some information. I was like, you know what, like yourself, like, I don't really have an argument against this. I don't really disagree with it either, so maybe the logical thing for me to do is to try it out. And I tried it out, and it was the best decision I ever made. I've been vegan like 3.5 years. Yeah, man, eating healthy, tasty food, not paying for animals to suffer, it's just like win-win-win for me. We give out these little activism cards at the end of conversations. It's just like free information, documentary, a speech, or whatever on YouTube, just to learn about it more. And that's what I got. Like, would you be interested in taking one and just educating yourself on it? Man, what's your name?
Noah Gilchrist.
Noel?
Noah.
Thomas, man, really, really awesome talking with you, man, and thanks for having such an open mind. I'll fit you up with a card now. Thanks for the chat, man. Cheers.